So to understand a little bit why we celebrate Lag BaOmer, why do we celebrate the 33rd day of the Omer, which also is the 18th day of Iyar? So we said that the Talmud says, the Gemara says, that the students of Rebbe Kiva died from Pesach till Shavuos. There's a tradition from the times of the Goyim, that's post-Talmudic, that they only died for 33 of those days. So I'm going to give you 5 reasons why we celebrate Lag BaOmer, and then to understand what the deeper reason is, what unifies all these 5 reasons, and really to answer the big question of why do we mourn something that happened thousands of years ago, a few thousand students of Rebbe Kiva died. Why do we mourn that event more than any other event in Jewish history? Or much more prominently than at most events in Jewish history, negative events in Jewish history. Why is it such an important event? So there are 5 ways how to see the reason why we celebrate Lag BaOmer. We'll start from the Shulchan Aruch and we'll go forward. In the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Kar, the Mechaber, writes that since there's a tradition from the Goyim that they only died 33 and 34 of these days, the Mechaber says that the 33 days starts from the second day, from the day of Sfira, from the day of Pesach, and they died up until the 34th day of the Sfira. Mixas al Yom Kikule, part of the day is as if they did a whole day. So therefore, the Mechaber says from the 34th day forward, the first 34 days of the Sfira means up until the 19th day of Iyar, a person shouldn't have haircuts and shouldn't get married and shouldn't play music. But from the 34th day onward, according to Rabbi Yosef Karo, that's when they stopped dying. The plague was over, and therefore it's a time to celebrate. But according to Rabbi Yosef Karo, it's important to understand that he would say that it's not Lag BaOmer that we should celebrate, but Lad BaOmer, the 34th day of Omer. But this is one opinion. The Ramar, Moshe Islish, which wrote the glossary on the Mechaber, he writes that no, that they didn't die from the second day of Pesach till the 34th day of, or the 18th, 19th day of Iyar, till the 34th day of the Omer, but instead they died from Rosh Chodesh Iyar up until 3 days before Shavuos, the 30 days of Iyar, and the 3 days before Shavuos in Sivan. That's the 30-day period. So what happens Lag BaOmer? So the Ramah writes that there's a tradition that on that day of Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of Omer, they didn't die. So even though they died the day before and the day afterwards, so according to the Ramah, there's something very special about the actual day of Lag BaOmer that the students did not die. Something mysterious happened. The whole thing is a mysterious thing, that they died. But for one day they stopped dying, the next day they continued dying. According to Mechaber, according to Rabbi Yosef Karo, they stopped dying, period, and the plague was over. But according to Ramah, there was one day that they didn't die. The third opinion is the opinion of the Maharil, that he says, no, there's a tradition that they only died 33 of those days because they really died from the second day of Pesach till 3 days before Shavuos, in the entire period. However, if you, they didn't die on Shabbos, according to the Maharil, and on Yom Tov. So there are 7 Shabbosim. There are 7 days of Pesach. There are 3 days of Rosh Chodesh. That's 17 days. So in total, eliminate 17 days from that period of time, of the 49 days. You're left with 33 days. So the Maharil says, on the 33rd day, symbolically, we celebrate the ending of the plague, even though on Lag BaOmer itself, they died. They died on Lag BaOmer, they died on Lad BaOmer, if it was not on Shabbos, right? They only did not die on Shabbos and on Yom Tov and Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, on the 33rd day, symbolically, we celebrate the day as a day of the ending of the plague, of the death of the students of Rebbe Akiva. That's another opinion. Okay, so we have these 3 opinions. The 4th opinion, which is the opinion of the Maharsha, he says that they died throughout the entire period, probably like the Maharil, but he says that there's something that's called a minor majority and supermajority. That once, if you divide the 49 days into 3, you have 16 and a third, 3 periods of 16 and a third. So when you reach 2/3 of the days of Sira already passed, that means the intensity of Sphira is already over. That's on the 33rd day of the Omer. So therefore we celebrate because the intensity of those days are already over. Again, nothing happened particularly on that day. Nothing happened particularly on that day in terms of not dying, but since it's the ending of this harsh decree, or it's already a supermajority of the days already passed, like later Mukabalim say the Lag Ba'omer, you have the first 32 days is Lev, and the last 70 days is Tov. So you have Lev Tov. The first 30 days represent the heart, and that's the work that has to be done. The second part of from Lag Ba'omer forward, the 17 days, is Tov, the same numeric value. So that's this fourth opinion. The fifth opinion, which is the more known one, is that it's the day that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai passed away. Or it's a day that's called Yom Simchas Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Now the idea that it's a day celebrating Reb Shimon Bar Yochai in itself is a very puzzling thing. On the one hand, we're saying that we celebrate this entire time sphere, that we don't play music and it's a national mourning. On the other hand, we're saying that we're celebrating the death of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Now we know Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was one of the students, one of the 5 remaining students of Rabbi Akiva. So in Kisvei Arizal, in the writings of the Ari, it says that Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer, is Yom Simchas Rashbi. In some printings it says Shemes Rashbi. The Ches was missing according to the Chidah. And really it shouldn't say the day that Rashbi passed away, but it should be the day that it's a joyful day for Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Now most later Mukabalim say no, it's a day that we actually celebrate, coming from Mishnah Chassidim, that we celebrate it's a time that Rashbi passed away. So why do we celebrate the passing of the Rashbi? It's very unusual. Usually when a person passes away, it's a time to mourn, or a time to be introspective, a chayit naliba. It's a serious time. Why is it a time of celebration on the time that Rashbi? So I think there's 5 reasons over here that are offered. One is that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai actually asked that it be a time of celebration. That's in the Mishnah Chassidim. Another thing is that Rabbi Akiva, according to the Bnei Yissaschar, I'm not sure how you knew this, but maybe through Ruach HaKodesh, she said that Lag BaOmer is also the day that Rashbi was born. The Aruch HaShulchan writes that it's the day that Rashbi left the cave. Also, we don't know where the source is from, and the Aruch HaShulchan writes it. Some suggest that the Talmud that speaks about Reb Shimon Bar Yochai leaving the cave is in Tractate Shabbos, page 33. So maybe it's an allusion to that idea that they left on the 33rd day. And another answer is that that's the day that Rashbi revealed a lot of secrets of the Zohar. Okay, let's understand the day of his passing. He revealed the Idra, which incidentally, what does the Idra speak about? Imagine, what would the Idra speak about? Here. Of course. Here. The Idra is about here, the mystery of here. In Parshas Naseh, the Idra is a very deep part of the Zohar, which according to the tradition, that's the part that Rashbi revealed on Lag BaOmer, the day that he passed away. And in the Idra, he speaks about the mystery of here as one of the greatest mysteries of creation.